Hey Cam fam, welcome back and welcome to Keeping Up with Cam. If you are new here, thank you so much for tuning into our channel, and if you're a returning subby, thank you so much for coming back. So today we have our Toddler Boy Hairstyle video number 81. Yes, we are actually going to be doing his hair for his kindergarten graduation. So Cam will be going into grade 1 in September. So we are just getting him ready for his little celebration slash graduation, leaving kindergarten and heading into grade 1. So we're starting off with our hair stretched out. It was washed, I believe, a day or two prior because I knew that I wanted to get this style done for his graduation day. So I've washed it, added product, and then just plaited it, and then took out the plaits in preparation to start this style. So I'm going in and I'm just parting the hair from ear to ear. So I'm going from right to left. You can go from left to right, whatever makes you comfortable, whatever makes you happy. And now I'm then going to go in with my wide tooth comb, shower comb, whatever you want to call it. And I am just detangling the hair, making sure that the section that I will be working with, which is the back section, is completely detangled and easy and ready for me to use. So you can go ahead and start with the ends of the hair first, kind of just holding the section taut in the middle. You want to work out the ends, and then you can work from the roots to the ends, and then you're completely detangled. So I'm going in with my Kuza 100% Indian hemp hair and scalp treatment. Love this stuff. And I'm putting it in the hair itself just to kind of soften it as I work with it, because we want to make sure that we're not pulling, breaking the hair. If it sounds like a crunchy apple, you need to add product to the hair before you do anything to it. Okay? So as well as putting it in the hair itself, you're also going to make sure you're putting it in the scalp, because that is super important. You can do that beforehand or afterhand. Afterwards, you're going to see the scalp and know where you want to put it. But if you want to put it in beforehand and then massage it, you can do that as well. So I've gone in and I'm making my first row. We're actually doing single braids in the back, and then we're going to do a style in the front. So I'm going in with my Shine and Jam. This is the yellow. It says extra hold. It's not really extra, but that's what I like about it. And this is a brand new one. So you can see it looks fresh out the package. It looks great. So I'm going in and I'm adding the Shine and Jam to the section that I've parted. And now I'm going back and I'm cleaning up that row so that it's straight. Again, he does have moving scalp, so it is a little bit of like a carnival game, trying to figure out how to get this line actually straight, because if it's taut and then it's like, oh my gosh, it's perfect, then you let it loose and it's like, no, it's not. Then you pull the two sides and then it's like, oh, it's perfect, and then you let it loose, and so it's like, it's a game, it's a guessing game completely. But you just go through, if your little one has moving scalp as well, you just kind of go through and make sure you get it as straight as you can possibly get it without driving yourself insane. So I'm going in and I'm making about small sections. I'm doing smaller size single braids, so I've put 4 in the back, and I'm just going in. It's like a regular 3-strand braid or a regular plait. Then I'm just going down and I sectioned it out. I'm not using any elastics at the root. And then I'm just braiding it down, and then as I go, if there's any like dry spots or any spots that I want to get some flyaways out of, I'm going to put a little bit of the Shine and Jam on my fingertip, and I'm just going to braid it down. So I am doing overhand for the majority of the plait itself, the braid, just because I find that it kind of elongates the braid as I'm braiding because of the tightness of the curls in the back of his hair. So I did overhand, but I do start out underhand, or just start out kind of tight. I flip it over after the first 2-ish pieces of that braid. I flip it over, do a little bit more going down, and then super overhand and just all the way down. So I am speeding this up. I am going through, I'm going to show you each row that I section, but realistically, because it is single braids, I do have other videos showing where I just do the single braids. I'll link them for you, but it's just kind of repetitive, so I didn't want to show you guys all of that the whole time. So like I said, I will go through and show you guys how I'm parting it, so you know how many rows I have for each section in the back. Now, I do want to say you guys did help us choose this style, so I want to thank you guys so much for actually voting. We did do a little poll in our community tab. If you have not checked out our community section, go ahead and do that. Why have you not? So I asked you guys what kind of style should he do for his graduation. We had different options, and the one that received the most votes was the single braids. So this is a single braid style with a little extra to it. So as you can see here with the second row, I just wanted to actually point out to you guys that you're going to go in, if you want to get that layered effect, you're going to go in and create the next row by parting through the middle braid in the previous row. So I just went in and since it's in the middle, I'm going to go to the left and to the right of it and make that braid over the line of the middle part of the bottom row, because you want everything to be staggered. You want it to be laddered. You don't want it to just be one on top of each other in the same spot, because then it's gonna fall very bulky, it's gonna fall very thick on top of each other. But this way everything's kind of sliding in between each other's groove, and it makes the hair lay a lot flatter. So for this one, because the first row was straight in the middle, I put a little bit on the left and a little bit on the right to make that square around that middle part. But when I do the next row, the third row, I'm just going to go straight in the middle of this middle braid, because you want a middle braid. You don't want it to be a fat braid again. Very weird to explain, but I hope it kind of makes sense, the words that I'm saying. So make sure you're taking your time as you're braiding. Even though it looks like I'm flying through this, you want to make sure that you have equal pieces of hair as you braid. That way that the braid itself looks neat, looks straight, it looks uniform. You don't want anything to look like chunky or just look out of place. So when you're braiding, make sure that you have equal pieces. And if you don't, I do have videos on how to borrow hair when you're braiding, just to make sure that maybe if you don't have enough, because it's not all the same length at the bottom and you want to finish the braid, that it looks unison. So if you need help with that, go ahead and find those videos. I'm going to try and link it if I remember, but it will help you making sure that the braids are all the same size, essentially. So as you can see here, I'm going into the middle of that middle braid and I'm just making my part. I've made my part, so now I know, okay, this is how I'm going to section out these squares. So I make the rest following on the right and the left equal size so that they all have squares, but this is the middle for this one. But if I was making it for the next row, as I should hopefully demonstrate, you will see that it's off to the side so that it is equal. It is centered, but it's not right in the middle over top of these braids on the bottom row. So with the smaller size that we're doing these braids, this third row was going to be 8 braids, 8 plaits. You can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, whatever size that you're going for. But for me, I made this third row with 8. All right, so we're going in now and sectioning off the 4th and 5th row. So the 4th row will be a full size square from left to right, and you can see the 5th row on the ends, it's not as square. That's perfectly fine, it's still going to work out. I'll show you how it goes. So I'm going in, I put the shine and jam on the section. Some people say don't put it directly on the scalp. We've had no issues. I don't oversaturate, I don't put too much product, so I don't see it being a problem. And then I'm just going in and I'm cleaning up that part. So I've slowed it down a little bit here so you guys can actually see, or attempt to see, where and how I'm parting that row. So you see that the 2 at the bottom are actually in the middle of this one that I'm braiding here. So it's just kind of, as I said, just making sure that the braid lays in between the braids below it. You don't want it laying right on top, you want it in between the other braids. So this row is ending up to be 7 braids. I believe that the 3rd row when we did it was the largest section because it went the entire span ear to ear. So this section is going to be 7 and then the following section is going to be less. So for our 5th and final row, we're actually going to continue with our brick layering pattern. We're just going to make sure that the braids in this row are in between the braids on the row below, and we're going to have 6 braids for this row. As you can see, the 2 braids on the end, this one and on the other side, kind of like a triangle, that's just evening out the section that we had to work with, it's completely fine. So once we're done that, that is the back. The single braid portion of this hairstyle is completely done. It looks like it took a lot quicker than it actually did, but you know, once you're used to it, it goes by pretty fast. So now I'm going in and I'm just trying to think about what I wanted to do with the front of its hair. Originally in my braid, I wanted to have the letter G and the number 1 just to kind of commemorate and celebrate what we're going to. But I've never done a G before, and I was realizing that it's just a lot more work logistically than I was expecting, and I didn't think it out. I didn't plan it out before I started braiding, so I was like, you know what, I'm not going to try and just freestyle this here and it go wrong, or I just need a lot more time to correct myself, and I just didn't have that time because this was already nighttime and he needed to get to bed so he could get up in the morning and go to his graduation. So what I ended up going with is just a 1. It looked a lot better and a lot more 1-like when I was braiding it out here, when I was parting it out. But when we braid it, you'll see it kind of just blends into the scenery, but I knew I put it there, so that's all that really mattered at the end of it. So I don't expect you guys to put a 1 here unless you are going to grade 1 as well. Then this works perfectly for you, or maybe a first birthday, or I don't know, anything that could use a 1, this could work. But if you just want to do regular braids, that's fine as well. You can kind of adjust for this. You can keep this whole body part and just not use that that part that goes off to the side on the left, and then you can just kind of add that into something else and make that a braid. So I'm going to show you obviously what it looks like to do it, but you don't have to do the 1 if you don't want to. All right, so our favorite thing to do, center part. So I've gone in. Usually you start at the nose, start at the middle of the eyebrows, wherever is comfortable for you, and you just trace the comb all the way up and then through the hair so that you make sure it is as centered as possible. But again, you're going to check it in the front, check it in the back, holding the hair to the sides a little tight, a little taut, just to make sure that it's showing you what the hair will actually look like when braided. So if it's not looking like what you need to, go back, fix it like I did, and get it as centered as you can. So I'm going in and I'm adding a little product to my hair. I believe again that was the Kuza hair and scalp treatment, and then I've added my shine and jam to my braided sections, which is my 1 right now, and I'm just going in and I'm braiding it. So because this part is going up, you want to be in front of your child so that you're braiding it towards yourself, and then you can go to the side or behind them like a regular braid as you turn it on its side here towards the left and braid downward to make the body of the number 1. As you can see here, the 1 was also giving 7. I don't know, I think we kind of got to use our imagination here, but I did what I could with the amount of, or the limited amount of time that I had to make this work. But yeah, I will definitely plan it out a lot better next time instead of just trying to freestyle and just make it up in his head when I get there. So the rest of the braids, the rest of this design, it's very much so freestyle. It's kind of just like where the hair takes me kind of thing. I'm just filling up the space. I'm using up what I can, but also staying in the size range that I'm looking for. I don't want anything to be too big, too bulky, and just kind of making it abstract. I wanted everything to kind of flow into each other without looking weird. Also, as you can see here, I'm trying to make the best design that I can out of the space left after making the 1. And instead of making this braid 2, which I originally wanted to do, I'm just making 1, and I'm molding that piece underneath the top part of the 7 into this braid, solely because I didn't want to have too many braids hanging out on the side. I thought that it might be a little bit too wide, too much going on. So I was like, okay, let me just make this into one instead of making it into two separate braids. You can do the same, you can do differently. As you see here, I'm using the end of the comb to just kind of flatten everything into each other as I braid it into one. But I would definitely have preferred to have this as two. I was just thinking logistically what it would look like to have two pieces of braids here by his ear instead of the one piece, which is already a little bit bulky by his ear because he does wear glasses. So I was like, you know what, it just makes the most sense to make this into one instead of making it into two. So I'm going in as I get halfway through, and I am using the comb and just combing that through, making sure that the hair is detangled so it's a lot neater and nicer looking once I braid down. Again, remember to add some Shine and Jam to your fingertips, or even the Kuza, just to keep all the flyaways into the braid. So I've sectioned this last part into two. Just make sure that you're detangling as you go. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing isn't too big in size. You kind of just want to make sure that everything works out to be around the same size and it's not chunky. You don't want it to look really like high, like a lump in the hair. So that's why I made this into two. And then I'm just going in and making sure that I have combed through everything, brushed through, kind of use the end of the tail comb on the sides of the hair where the gel is to just kind of get everything to the center of the part before I start braiding, so that when I go down, it's evenly distributed and it looks really nice. When I'm braiding to the front of his hair like this around the perimeter, I always get a little bit cautious because I don't want to pull too much. I don't want to do too much right there where his hairline starts, but at the same time, as you can see, my mom's calling me. At the same time, I want to make sure that the style looks nice, but with his hair he also has like not shorter pieces but a lot tighter curls right at the front compared to the middle of the front where it's very 3B, very wavy. So it's a matter of getting everything to look unison, getting everything to blend into each other, but also protecting his hairline, because that's literally the most important part of our braids, is making sure that the style is actually protective and it's not just decorative and it's not doing more damage than it's supposed to. So I went in and I made that braid around the outside, just kind of encasing everything, and I brought it straight down. And then the part that I have left, I'm breaking that up into two long braids going down, but one of them is going to have a piece at the top. So it's kind of like mirroring the braid on the opposite side, as you can see where it's starting. But this one beside the 1 or the 7 or the idea is just going to be straight by itself, and it's just going to go down. Alright guys, so now we have our last braid. I don't know why I left this one for last, honestly. I think maybe I just didn't know what to do with it. I think I was going to think about putting some singles in it, but I decided to just braid it down. I do want you guys to keep in mind that I am kind of like a symmetrical braider. I kind of like to do the same on both sides. So instead of just freestyling a whole different pattern on the other side and not knowing how long it'll take, I'm just using this blueprint from over here and copying it over to the left side and keeping it all the same. So once I'm done this braid, I'm going to part out literally the same on the other side, except for the one, because I only wanted it on one side and it didn't really turn out to a one anyway, so I was like, what's the point? So when you guys do your left, you can kind of just copy whatever you had on the right side, especially if you didn't do a one. It'll be easier for you because you're literally just copying the exact same parting from the right to the left. So this is what we look like 2/3 of the way done, right side done, back finished, and then I just literally copy this over and this is our final product. So we were literally leaving the next day to go to school, go to his grad. You can see he's not dressed, but this is what the style ended up coming out to be. This is the front of the style. And as you can see, we had those two pieces in the back there. Everything turned into one with the box braids at the back. He did sleep on it. We didn't really tie it down, so it looks a little all over the place, but we put some elastics in it and it looked great. So I hope you guys enjoyed the style. Hope you guys tried it out. Let us know if you did. Thumbs up this video if you like it. Subscribe if you have not already. Share us with your family and friends. Hit us up on all socials at Keeping Up with Cam. Let us know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Go to our DMs, go to our comments, whatever you want, and just make sure that you come back for the next videos. Put that bell on if you have not already, and we'll see you guys then. Bye.